It's a pleasure to have you join us on another episode of the program. I'm Okpeyemi Owosheni. We'll start off with business news. In a significant step towards enhancing transparency and accountability, the World Bank Group has introduced a framework comprising 22 indicators to measure the outcomes of its development effort. According to Managing Director of Operations at the World Bank, Anna Bejed, the scorecard will enable shareholders and beneficiaries to effectively observe, gauge, and monitor the effects of the bank's financial support and assistance. Bejed added that the bank wants to give a closer look at development outcomes by adopting a more people-centric approach. The global passenger demand for air travel surged by 21.5% in February, up from 16.6% recorded in January. This was reviewed in the International Air Transport Association February 2024 report. The report disclosed that the accompanying surge in the demand was a rise in capacity, measured in available seat kilometers, which grew by 18.7% compared to the same period in 2023. Now, according to the report, the February load factor soared to 80.6%, marking a substantial increase of 1.9 percentage points compared to the previous year. Furthermore, international demand for travel increased by 26.3% compared to February 2023. Now, the surge corresponded with an increase in capacity up to 25.5% year-on-year, leading to an improved load factor of 79.3%. We'll go on a break now and be back with the latest happenings in the corporate world. Welcome back. Nigerian Bottling Company Limited has empowered Nigerian youth with entrepreneurship and employability skills in its two-day program themed Youth Empowered. The two-day program, which had 1,000 participants, took place in Abuja at sessions such as career planning, LinkedIn profile mastery, use of artificial intelligence, and other digital tools. Olukemi Ogunshakin, Corporate Affairs and Sustainability Lead at Embassy, while emphasizing the pivotal role of youth in positive change and progress, said the initiative is proving to be a driving force for positive change, nurturing the next generation of young, skilled and impactful leaders poised to drive socio-economic development in the country. MTN, Africa's largest mobile phone group, plans to invest $101 billion by mid-year in generators, batteries, and renewable energy solutions. This move aims to mitigate the impact of frequent blackouts, which MTN anticipates could persist for up to 3 more years in its premium market, South Africa. MTN CEO Ralph Mupita highlighted the urgency of the situation, describing it as a crisis by vandalism targeting mobile phone towers and base stations. Near-daily power outage, known as local shedding, have weighed on the continent's most industrialized economy and left businesses dealing with vandalism and theft on backup power investment. MTN has also increased security through measures such as encasing batteries in concrete bunkers. And now, ahead of pivotal elections in May, the government says power cuts, which occurred on a record of 280 days last year, will be over by the end of the year. We'll take a break here, but still to come on the program, federal government plans emergency economic bill to boost non-oil revenue in Nigeria. Don't go away. Welcome back. The federal government has said it plans to introduce an emergency economic bill to boost its revenue from the non-oil sector in Nigeria. This was disclosed by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, during his presentation at the Lagos Business School Breakfast Club on 8th of April 2024. Specifically, the new bill will expand tax base, improve compliance, automate exercise tax, review tax exemptions and duty waivers, that's about 1% of the GDP, and recalibrate incentive structure. The chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, recently said that his committee has drafted a new tax regulation which will amend existing laws in the country. Oyedele also noted that Nigeria can easily earn 10 trillion annually via efficient management of its non-oil assets. He added that the country's non-oil assets estimated to be between 80 trillion and 100 trillion are yet to get sufficient attention, are also being mismanaged. The non-oil sector contributed around 95.3% to Nigeria's GDP in the last 3 months of 2023. This is according to the National Bureau of Statistics 2023 fourth quarter report. This percentage is below the 95.66% recorded in the fourth quarter of 2022. Now, yet it surpasses the 94.52% noted in the third quarter of 2023. In the quarter under review, the non-oil sector experienced a growth of 3.07% in real terms. Well, Economics Mukhtar Mohammed now joins me on the program to discuss this further. Thank you for joining me on the program, Mr. Mohammed. Well, how effective do you think the proposed emergency economic bill will be in boosting revenue for the non-oil sector in the country?
First of all, when you talked about emergency, emergency means that a lot of what we call rule of law will be suspended. When you say you want to have an emergency, so that means a lot of things will be suspended for emergency. And so when you look at that, you're really saying, is it a good word to use, especially when you are driving an economy that should be driven by rule of law? But again, you are looking at what they talk about the emergency in this case is to see how do they interfere in the economy. It's a different type of it. So for me, I think depending on which sector they want to boost with the emergency bill in terms of suspending other things to make sure those sectors grow. So emergency in itself is not good, but depending on where it is applied, because if you say an emergency rule, that means the rule of law will be suspended. When you talk about an emergency economic policy, that means some issues that need to pass through legislation, some issues that needs to pass through corporate governance will be suspended, pending where some of these things are affected. So it all depends on which sector they really want to touch with this emergency economic bill.
Okay, so now what do you think are the potential benefits and challenges of expanding the tax base and improving compliance in Nigeria?
Well, for the tax base, I think the major challenge will be getting more people into the tax bracket. A lot of people are already there, the formal sector. So I keep saying that if Nigeria want to reap the benefit of the of tax in their GDP, they need to begin to look at the informal sector. Now, when I think about informal sector, I'm talking about that artisan, I'm talking about that woman that is selling on the road, that hairdresser and all. These are the people that make the larger force of the Nigeria economy. So you need to begin to see how you can attract those people into the tax bracket. But when in Nigerian case, when you look at widening the already tax bracket, it means putting more burden on the already tax. So, but we should be thinking of widening the tax bracket by bringing in a lot of people, especially from the informal sector, into the tax bracket. And how do you do that? You do that in the sense that maybe you begin to provide some of this little succum for them, and then that will attract them into coming into the tax net. But if you just on your own said, okay, you should come and pay tax for the person that is still providing power for himself, the person that is still dealing with a lot of issues that should be government security power, that government ordinarily should be taking care of, he will not want to come into that space because he's already taking care of a lot of things by himself. But if government is there to enhance your business, to make it grow further, then you are going to attract a lot of people into the tax bracket.
Okay, so Mr. Mohammed, now one of the things the bill aims to do is to automate excise tax in the country. Now, how significant do you think is the automation of excise tax in enhancing revenue collection, and what infrastructure do you think will be needed to support this initiative?
When you talk about enhancing technology, then you need to begin to think of the kind of infrastructure that have to do with cyberspace. And when it comes to cyberspace, you know, they have their own challenges, but I think they've taken into consideration on those things. For me, that is a good thing to note that the government is thinking of digitizing the tax. I mean, that would, in itself, will reduce a lot of corrupt tendencies, and it will create a little bit of openness in the tax system of Nigeria. That means I can easily pay my tax directly. I don't have to go to any office. That will reduce bottlenecks. That will make paying of tax seamless, and that might also attract a lot of people wanting to pay tax. because the situation remember you have to go there, then you have to see one person. So it's giving room for a lot of corruption. So once you digitize any process, you're trying to make it simpler, you're trying to make it easier, and you're trying to make it very convenient. And I so think for me, if you make it simpler, you make it easier, make it convenient, that will also drive a lot of people into the tax bracket.
Okay, while you were speaking earlier, you mentioned the government laying more focus, paying attention to artisans in the country. Now, away from artisans now, how do you foresee the emergency economic bill impacting different sectors of the economy, and particularly small and medium-sized enterprises?
How will it impact it? When you talk about emergency, like I say, a lot of things will be suspended. I want to see how government will directly intervene in some of these SMEs, how government will begin to provide amenities for them, how governments will help them do exporting on some of their products by giving them a level playing ground, by reducing taxes on some of these products so that they can be competitive in the global market. Those are part of the things that could help little SMEs in terms of government that policy. So I think the good thing is that it's doable if the government decide to have the political will to do that and that will bring in a lot of more SMEs, and that will bring a lot of innovation to the SMEs world, and that also will help Nigerians to earn effects into the economy. By the time government are able to help this sector grow, then they will be able to earn effects into the economy, and that also in the long run we have a way of stabilizing our currency. We have a way of attracting more investors into the Nigerian space. And for me, that could just be the game changer.
So, Mukhtar, in your opinion, what additional policies or strategies should the government consider to further diversify the Nigerian economy away from reliance on oil revenue? Because the main reason for the bill is just to find a way to diversify and not rely on oil revenue in the country. So what other strategies or policies do you think the government should put in place?
Tax holiday, tax bracket for SMEs that are going to earn effects into the economy. And you need to give them a lot of incentives. You need to give them tax holiday. You need to make them know that by bringing FX into the economy, they will earn one advantage more than those that don't bring FX. So for me, that is the key. Then provide the amenities for them, the infrastructure for them to be able to store some of this product before exporting it out, because that has been the